Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our global audience here at USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, and our show today is a big one. It's important for people who are thinking about getting a pet, the right pet for their family. Joining me here on our coexistence and sustainability show is the star of our show. Joining us, I assume, from sunny California, it's pet psychic AMINAH. Welcome.
Absolutely. People always say, how's the weather? Sunny? And I miss the rains because we did get a few, and I live near some hills. Believe it or not, I live in a valley. So I live on like the only one or two mountains that exist. And it's beautiful. It's absolutely, absolutely beautiful. So I feel so fortunate. I hope everybody is also in a beautiful place, either spiritually, energetically, and or in real time. Go out and do what I do and talk to the birds and the neighbors' dogs and everything else, and you'll have the better day.
Thank you so much, Pet Psychic AMINAH. I would love for you to share, we've talked about this before, but I think it's important for people who are joining us. Of course, we always have new people across the world. What does a pet psychic have to do with coexistence and sustainability?
Well, like all professionals, we have our niche or our passion for what we want to share with the world. I have been very, very, very blessed with your show, as all of your co-hosts, I know, feel this way. We are getting a message out that is so important to us. And for me, it is not just coexisting. It's why, how come, how do I get there? How difficult is this? I want to be your cheerleader. I want to be your support. And Dr. Jacalyn, that is what we're doing, is really supporting people to understand when you think, oh, that's not a big deal. Oh, that's not a big deal. Well, I don't want it to become a big deal. And then we all go, oh, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 2 days ago, I heard about that. Maybe I should have done something about it. I want to encourage everybody to let's do something about it. Let's coexist. We are losing species. We are losing habitats. We are losing insects, birds, you name it, we are losing. And the human race cannot exist on its own. It just can't. And I think people don't realize that. We are all completely tied together. We either all get to the finish line or none of us do.
So well stated, as always. And our goal is to have one person awaken right, to realize that it's not just about you, it's not just about me, it's about all of us, regardless of what package we come in.
Exactly. And what's wonderful about what you said, when it is you and you make those changes, you might not know that the person you sit next to at work in your cubicle and your head is down and you're doing that work, but they see that little live plant on your desk, or they know that you've got to leave early because you've got something to do with nature and or a club or whatever. Your positive living, whatever that manifests as, really does make an impact on others. They can hate it, they can fall in love with it, and everything in between. You're not in charge of how people receive it, But when we live and coexist happily with the rest of the planet, and humanity will come into that, then we all get to the finish line in a much happier place.
Outstanding. Thank you. And as you know, we're about to go into August, which is truly hard to believe. Back to school, holidays coming up. A lot of times people are thinking about getting a pet. And sometimes it's a spur of the decision thing. Oh, Johnny could use a little dog, or Susie could use a little cat. And there's no research that goes into it. And people many times don't think about the longevity of their new family member and the fact that hopefully they're going to be around for 10, 12, 15, 18 years, whatever, depending. What's some advice that you can give based on all the experience that you've had for decades?
Well, first and foremost, if you have very little or no experience with pets of any kind, I would highly suggest that you foster. And what does that mean? Well, you're going to have to know a few things about animals, so you're going to have to educate yourself. You can volunteer at shelters. They are so desperately in need of help. And that's the grunt work, sometimes people say. But for me, it's part of the love language of a pet needs a clean cage. And if you're living in a cage day in and day out, how valuable do you think it is not only that somebody who's kind and loving and calm and can handle maybe the animal's afraid or whatever their experience is, and they come and clean their cage every day, or give them fresh water and food, or they go, and there's so many great shelters now that have petting hours. And what they can do is they bring out certain dogs or cats or whatever, and people get to come and sit and pet animals. Personally, I have to stay out of those arenas because I take them all home, and I got already 3. So find out locally what your shelters, what your adoptions, talk to the vets. If you have already had a pet, then you probably have a vet that you used or could be recommended, and you could talk to them and say, where do you recommend I volunteer my time? I'm thinking about getting a pet. I'm not sure if this is the right choice for me. Test drive them. It's not like you can take them home. I'm not recommending that you take them home and then bring them back. It is a great idea to foster, but you also need the skills to foster. It can't be something that you don't know how to feed them, or you don't know how to clean the litter box. You don't know, whatever the don't is. You can learn all of that. It's better if you foster. It's better if you figure out, I can't deal with a cat over 10 pounds because I can't pick them up. Or I can't deal with a kitten. That is way too much energy. I want a small dog. Well, maybe a small dog isn't what you need because you didn't know that they have to be picked up all the time, and then this and this and this. But maybe a big dog is the right size, but you weren't prepared for those big poops, or that it needs to go for a run. There are so many factors to figure out for you and for the pet. So my suggestion is just what we're doing here. Go online, look at all the YouTubes. Dr. Jacalyn, you and I have been doing this over 100 episodes, I believe. There's a plethora of information that I give out every single week, besides what's on my website. And my Facebook page is all about funny and education. There's no finger pointing, so I continue that. So you can join so many of us on social media to help and learn that curve. I know, Dr. Jacalyn, we've taught you a lot, haven't we?
Absolutely. I am a new person based on what I've learned from you. And I think this is episode 126, but I'm not actually sure.
Wow. I knew we moved over the 100 because that was exciting when you told me.
It was. So it's something I also want to have you talk about, because this affects a lot of people. They're working full time. they're commuting, and the pet is in a cage or a crate for 8+ hours. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, first and foremost, it's incredibly unhealthy. It's incredibly unhealthy. So I said it twice, and I want to say it 9 more times, because I really, really want you to think about you sitting in a cage every day. How about think about when we were all in offices and you sat at your desk and maybe you took a lunch hour, or you were one of those people that barreled on through because you had so much work to get done for the bell at the end of the day. Think about what an animal who is much more wild than we are, and who naturally wants to be outdoors and or for a walk or something like that, or they need to go to the bathroom in their cage over and over and over and over, and so the papers are wet and or the sandbox is full. That is not an existence. If you are not able to, some people come home at lunch and love taking their dogs for a walk, love going home for lunch and being able to snuggle with their cat. If that's possible, that's great. But you need to put these choices in the decision making. What I really suggest, if you have either not had a pet in a very long time, and it could be 6 months means a long time to you, or 6 years, everything's up, because it's your interpretation that matters. Or if you have never had a pet where you were the sole provider of love, care, feeding, cleaning, all of that, please foster. Please foster. There's so many animals that will love to come home with you and know they're just there temporary, and that is hard, but it gets them out of the shelter. It gets them out of that mass. There's all these animals and not enough people to literally care for them past their basics. Volunteer yourself at a shelter. Volunteer, you'll get to know so much, because people who work in the shelter, especially the paid ones, are going to have a great deal of education. And I have yet to find one that's not excited to share their information with you, so that you become not only a better whole person and can either empathize or sympathize with nature, or actually be proactive now because you have the right information. Don't ever stop learning. That's what I think US Global TV does. We are constantly learning to share things with you. I've known so many of these facts for decades because of my passion. What a lot of people don't know is my first bird of prey, I was in the Sunset magazine as a 12-year-old. I think I was 11 or 12, because I had those opportunities. So I've been studying all my life, and then I got a college degree and worked in wildlife. So these are things you want to do, is always learn, always do something that moves you forward. Domestic pets are no different. If you're not the hamster type, but you're the guinea pig type, well, you got to figure out, well, what's the difference besides their size? And cages, are you going to clean the cages? Are you going to clean the litter box? If that's not possible, and you're not going to hire somebody to do it, or whatever creative way you can, then maybe that pet is not the right one for you. And that's really what we want to really talk about, is find the right pet. Find the right pet. And that happens by not only reading up, but you could volunteer at a shelter. They would love the help, because can you imagine, their budgets are so tight. Volunteers are so essential to these well-being of these animals.
Excellent points as always. Thank you, Amina. What I'm also wondering is, if you have children, maybe you should do, just a suggestion, because I'm someone who has a lot of allergies, do some allergy testing before you even get a pet. Because if your child has allergies and then that pet just offsets it, that could be a nightmare.
Well, and wow, that is super gold information. And I don't have those allergies. So thank you for bringing them up, because there's so many things we go, oh, wait a minute, I hadn't thought of that. But if you don't know if you have allergies until you're there. I have allergies to plants, and I still plant like a million things. I don't care. But my allergies have gotten better over time. And guess how I finally gotten almost 100% of my allergies all taken care of?
How? What did you do?
Raw honey.
Really? So you eat
Because
raw
what
honey?
are the bees doing? What are they taking and making their honey from? All the plants that I walk outside the door and come in contact, or they blow their seeds my way, or the tree, or something. Honeybees are our backbone of our food line. We are literally spraying so many chemicals, weed killer, etc., that we are killing the honeybee. And we've had a whole show on this, so you can look this up, that I've already talked about. But these are my little get on my platform. If you want to eat anything, you need a honeybee. Everything is a chain reaction. So the same thing is, if you don't understand how important honeybees are, you're going to spray them. You're not going to put plants out that they like because you're afraid, or that you're allergic, or all of those things. They're not wrong, but there are ways to be safe and have plants farther away, or you're not the one, or you get a suit. You can get a suit, and like the honeybee industry has these great suits that you can protect yourself with and still be around and have those flowers. But pets need the same types of things. If you don't understand that, if you get, for example, what's really popular right now are hairless cats and dogs. Mostly the cats. I don't see as many dogs coming hairless. But Dr. Jacalyn, have you seen these?
I have. Yes, I have.
Not my favorite. Not my favorite. I'm all for getting fur all over my clothes, and just little sticky tape, and I'm good. But these designer animals, because that's not how nature makes them without fur, because there's no way that animal could survive out in the wild. No way. I don't know about you. I've seen them wear sweaters. I've seen them have to be oiled down or lotioned on their skin. They go to a lot of appointments to keep that going. But the people who start breeding these, primarily, from what I understand, it started when people were allergic to the dander of pets. So they're like, okay, we're going to fix this. We're going to make it without. Well, that cat or dog, I don't see too many dogs this way, but I do see it in cats, then they're going to have to be indoors full time, all the time, because there's no protection from the elements. So they do wear sweaters. I've seen it. And you get some of the Egyptian type cats and some of the other really higher cognitive cats. People got them walking, they're on leashes, they're in strollers, whatever. That's all wonderful. And then they're taking care of their skin. They're literally, I've talked to a couple owners, and they have to, have a special kind of oil or lotion just to keep their skin from cracking. So we've all been there, where we dried our hands out, dried our whatever, our skin out, and you're like, man, you got a sunburn and it all peels off. That is what those cats are going through for a lifetime. So it's a huge commitment. But that's how those cats came to be, because people wanted animals and pets, but they couldn't handle the dander and thought it would be easier than, getting hair off of chairs and seats and that kind of stuff. But I don't, that'll be a personal decision, not a judgment of, oh, well, you just get over it. No, everybody has where their limits are, or what they can and cannot do, or something in there. Honor that and say, okay, that might be not the way I'm going to do it, or I would rather do it, or whatever. But I have seen these hairless animals get absolutely pure love from their owners. And if that's the trade-off and somebody's bred it already, this animal already existed, then do it. My caution always is think about what you're putting your money to. If you are supporting an industry that you find out is cruel or unkind or should be illegal or is heading that way, any of these things, or you find out the manufacturer of the food or the sand or the products you're buying is paying the cartel, not even secretly, whatever those moral codes are, look at where we spend our dollars. Because Dr. Jacalyn, what is more powerful than anything? Money. Not what we say. Our actions are in there, but honestly, more people probably get killed over money than your dog is barking. And it's the life we are in. So remember that. When you choose a pet that's a designer, has some kind of special thing, fur, no fur, dandruff, whatever, think about the price you're paying and what you're saying with that money. I'm going to pay $3,000 for that dog, cat, lizard, whatever. So what I'm saying to the industry or the public who's going to find out, oh, I made all this money over this cat or whatever, that you are supporting that industry because you've put money down. It's a time-honored truth. Same with designers, same with clothes. Some of the most weirdest clothes you see walking down the runway and you go, what are they wearing? And then it becomes a fad because somebody famous wore it and everybody put their money behind it. So more weird things get done. Animals are the same as any other paid commodity. If you pay for it, you're also condoning it. That's why I really, really hope people will first consider going to the shelters. They need help to actually be out of business. That's the goal, that there's no pets left. And wouldn't that be a dream if we managed litters well enough that every year the shelters were empty? There's so much other work to be done.
Outstanding. Absolutely. And something else that I think is also a consideration, at least it was for me. I had 3 dogs, as you know, and
Yeah,
they're
they're
right there.
gorgeous.
They all passed away one right after another, but my life changed and I was traveling a lot for my work when I was in corporate. And then my mother she took care of them. So we don't always have someone else to take care of them. And that could be a burden for the other person because they didn't get the dogs, right? Now all of a sudden
Right.
you're responsible for your dogs. So I think it really also matters as you look at the evolution of your life. And obviously you can't imagine what's going to happen 5 years, 10 years from now, but do you have a plan that if your life does change, that there's someone who can take them, or are you going to put them up in a shelter? What are you going to do?
Well, and so that is so important what you said, because listen to the words, everybody, that where Dr. Jacalyn is going. What happens when there's no will? And the dog's not mentioned if it has a will, if you all have a will, or you don't have a plan. That is huge. So many animals are dumped in shelters because the family wasn't prepared, or nobody can handle that cat, dog, whatever, because they were so bonded to the owner. I actually have seen and worked with animals that the animal is fading, dying, because the parent, the pet's parent, has passed. Animals are very intuitive. They know what's going on. I say this all the time, and I haven't lately in our shows, but let me stress, women, men, everybody, we all have chests. Depending on who you are, how big your breasts are or not, or whatever. Men get breast cancer. Men get breast cancer. We all get different kinds of cancers, but men so many times are not aware that they too can get breast cancer. If any of your pets come up to you and start poking you in the chest, fussing at your leg, scratching at your jeans, and just really being odd and so focused on this part of your body, go to the doctor now. So many people can have their lives saved by their pet saying, hey, you smell funny. Because cancer, from what I've heard from the pets and seen when they talk about it, is it smells horrid. It's like, the best example I can give is like burning skin, like rotting, burning skin is what they keep showing me. If your pet scratches at a sore on your arm or pokes you in the back or the chest or anywhere and is really fussing over some part of your body, please listen. They love you and they know something is wrong. And they, in their gesture, you could look at it, they're just trying to dig it out of you. Not literally, but trusting your pet is a two-way street. We train them, we love them, we give them balance and firm guidance. This is okay, this is not okay, don't poop in the house, do this, wait, go here, bring your leash, whatever your choices of training and then co-living. But if your pet comes up to you and starts to pester you in one part of your body, two parts of your body, go to the doctor and say, you know what? I don't know this thing, because every MD is going to be different. And I really hope you get one that is pro-pet, meaning has pets, has had pets, understands their cognitive ability. And what do we use for bombs? Dogs. They can smell a bomb before it's detonated. So we have dogs that are been doing this in the military, for the police. When we lose a child, we lose anybody, what do we use? Animals. We use animals to have them find it because they can pick up on that scent. We each have a very specific scent. And I'm not talking about the days we shower and the days we don't shower. We have a scent. Let's say you are the biggest garlic eater on the planet and you love it. That's great. Sure, that'll change a lot about how you smell, but that is how you smell. And your animals can detect all of those. They will save your life if you take the time to listen. And that's what I really want you to encourage you. It is a coexistence with our pets. They want you to have a great life. We want them to have a great life. It's a great, great unity to do that. Why is it so important to adopt the right pet? Because if you get the wrong personality, you get the wrong type of animal, and it's too much work for you, then everybody loses. The animal goes back to shelter or passes away, or you just haven't got the ability, time, energy, whatever it is, to treat them, raise them, feed them what is necessary to keep them healthy. Remember that. It's love on both sides. So make sure when you do decide to adopt that you really look into not only breed, color, needs, medical and attention, but also what's the animal in front of you. Now, it's very hard to see that at a shelter. A lot of times you need to get them into it. A lot of shelters now have the ability, not all of them, to let you take home a pet for like 3 or 4 days. Try it out. See if it matches your dog or your kids or the way you live. That would be ideal. That would be ideal. Is it going to be the answer? No, because 3 or 4 days, a week is a very short amount of time to really get to know an animal. much less people, but it's better than just bringing it home and going, hey, I hope this works.
I love all the wisdom that you're sharing here. So people are thinking, wow, I'm going to rethink my thought process about getting a pet. Now, what about pets that you can actually hold on to versus those that you can't? So fish, for example, I personally think fish tanks are really interesting. I've had 3 at a time, a lot of work. I did not know what I was doing, cost a lot of money, didn't end up too well. But I love aquariums. They're so much fun. And you can have all different kinds of creatures living in there, but it's not the same as holding something.
But maybe that's your personality, or maybe that, because for you and I love it. Why do so many dentist office, specifically dentist office, have these amazing, I mean, we're talking really ginormous aquariums? Why do you think that is?
I think it's fascinating to watch. And by the way, I had to take my mom to a dentist, and they had this huge giant television, and it was all fish. It was all, I loved it. Like you couldn't take your eyes away from it. But what were you going to say?
No, I want to hear your guess. Why do so many doctor's office, but dentists specifically, to me, they're the top of the fish getters. Now we got the digital ones, because the digital world is just so amazing now. The technology is all there. It doesn't, look like 30 years ago, and you're like, yeah, that was a crayon drawing if I ever saw one. But so many dentists and chiropractic offices have some type of live aquatics, not just plants. A lot of them do plants. Any guesses why? Why it's such a heavy thing in that industry?
Because it keeps the patient calm.
It's very hypnotic. It's very happy. It's very life. So trees and plants and everything, offices learned long ago, it just brings a little bit of real life instead of, could you imagine, look at the building in our background. If you just had all this glass all the time and not that gorgeous tree looking up in the middle, and then what I would think is you go in and then you've got your desk and your pictures or whatever, and it's real people. What if all you had was just the glass? That'd be kind of sad all day long. No tree, no anything, just the glass. So what does plants do? They bring life into the mix. It's a living, breathing entity. Fish are wonderful. There's an entire industry now, and have been for quite a long time, of companies. All they do is go from office to office to office, test the water, make sure the fish are healthy, change the water, do the rocks, whatever they need. They'll take them out, clean the tank, put it back, poof, the shop or the people who are running that office and paying them, it's an entire industry. And that was not true 25 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, but it's been going on for some time now. That really neat places where you're sitting in the waiting room. How neat is it? I don't know about you, but I can't afford all those fish there, nor the upkeep. And I've had fish, so I know how to clean them, and I know all about the machinery and all of that kind of stuff. But that's a whole nother, because you get any of the really beautiful exotic fish, and they need special care. They need special pH. They need special food. They need time to eat. They need special rocks. And having a professional to do that really is a great thing. When you go into the dentist office, I can tell you how many dentist offices I've seen with a fish tank. And I don't mean a small one, either the size of your dining room table or pretty market. Haven't you seen that? Where you go in and it's a zen, doesn't it? You just go sit back and say, okay, I'm good.
I've done that, and I've also said to myself, I wonder why I couldn't keep the fish tank, going. I had 3 fish tanks, 3 dogs, and 2 birds at the same time, and that was insane. And the thing about the fish tanks, especially at least at the time, I had saltwater tanks. There are a lot more money, I think, to run.
They
And then
are.
you can have such beautiful fish. But I would come home and one would be upside down. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's my fault because I don't know what I'm doing. So eventually I just got rid of them all because I didn't want anything else to die, because
Yep.
you have to bring somebody in to take care of them. And I think at one
You
point
do.
I did, and then it just got to be too expensive.
Well, and it is. People need to go in. Not only are those fish expensive individually, I got one fish. There you go. And fish, not all, but fish will grow to the size of the tank. So if you get this giant tank and you only could afford one fish, well, don't worry, he'll be this big sooner or later. And he'll just crawl out and go, never mind, I'm going to Bob's house. You know what you're getting yourself into, because they're fabulous. But for me, at the beginning and the end of the day, it's a life. It is a life that should be respected, should be honored, and you should be able to say, can I take care of this? Am I willing to learn everything I can? And my really great suggestion, I hope you'll all do, and that doesn't matter if you're getting a pet that's a fish, you're getting a pet that's a squirrel, hopefully that's illegal where you're at, or something like that. But whatever you decide to do, try fostering, especially if dog, cats, squirrels, or whatever, what is it? All the guinea pigs and bunnies, all of those things. See if you know somebody who knows somebody who said, hey, I'd love to come in and see what that's like. So many pet owners are really happy to share their pets with you, for at least to talk about them. It's better than reading a book. If you can and you are able, foster. There are so many animals in the shelters, and it is psychologically devastating to these animals to be caged up. If it is a kill shelter, and there's so many times there's nothing they can do because they have too many pets and not enough people. You can't just keep breeding and breeding and breeding and breeding. Why I'm such a huge component of and wanting to keep talking about spay and neutering. We have enough planets and animals and everything. Our house cats that people let come and go in their house, meaning they get to go outside, are absolutely decimating the bird population, the native bird population. So it will not only take your vet bill down considerably if your pets are inside, but it also helps nature. So think about that before you choose a pet. See if you can foster, and or go volunteer your time at the shelter. Shelters have so many needs. They need the pets' foods to be prepared. They need the cages to be cleaned. They need them to be socialized. Find out. Don't just go to one. If you're in a big enough city, there's usually 2 or 3 shelters. Or there's an organization you can get to. Or you can go on social media and reach out there and say, hey, I'm really looking forward to this and this and this, but I haven't had a cat in a long time. I haven't had this time of fish. Do you know anybody who would let me come and learn whatever? Reach out to your social media. So many people are more than happy to give you that experience. I know for me, I would so much rather have you over for an hour or 2 for you to hang out with one of our 3 cats, because only one's going to come and say hi. The other 2, not so much. And have you have that experience, then you just adopting, and then you end up taking that animal back to the shelter, or to the shelter for the first time because you got a kitten or this or this or that, and you weren't ready for the kitten to climb the curtains and trash your designer curtains or whatever. Just trying to help and say, please, there's so many great animals out of there, and they don't need to be purebreds to be working animals. I don't know if I've talked about very much is Jake. is our German Shepherd. We actually found him at the house we were buying, dumped in the backyard with a 30-foot hole in the backyard from a sewer tank that had been removed. So we're talking like 4 feet to 5 feet across and 30 feet down. And he was just running around back there by themselves. They literally moved and left, the renters. And so I had a German Shepherd for a while. But that's not the way it should happen. Every animal should have a life and should have a commitment. We decided to create these pets. This is not how, the wolves didn't come to us and say, hey, dude, I need a collar. Let's go for a walk. Because everybody started with wildlife. Everybody started there. So that's where our responsibility needs to step in. I'm not talking about your great-great-great-great-grandfather and da-da-da. No, this is where we're at now. So just honor that and say, okay, how can I help? Go volunteer your time in a cat coffee house or your shelter or your friend's house and say, hey, can I come every Tuesday and play with your dog? Now that's different because guess what? You don't take that dog home. You're not in charge of the vet. You're not in charge of the vet's bill. You're not talking about picking up the poops. You don't have to worry about it being groomed. Remember, you're not getting the whole picture, but it's a start. It is a start.
It is a start. Thank you. Thank you. So our topic today, how to find the right pet for you and your family. You have covered it so well, as you always do. And also, if you can just let people know, in addition to your passion about this, you are a pet psychic, you are a trainer, you do provide services, you are a coach. Tell us a little bit about them.
This is right up my alley right now. For example, I have a client this afternoon and we are talking to her animal who has passed. She is in a deep grief. The animal was sick. And so we are going to I'm going to help her close that door as far as being able to say goodbye and how the pet's doing and all that. The same thing with adoption. What I can do is you're going to share with me your lifestyle and your personality, and just talking to you on the phone. All of these things are very simple because I'm not only able to hear the animals talk and people and so many other things, but I'm an empath. So I can feel feelings, especially strong ones, and the happy, sad, mad, glad, all of that. And you can actually hire me to come and help you with the pet, or we do it digitally, or you always can ask, what do you recommend? This is my lifestyle. I am not a breed expert by my own choice because I'm so much about the animal in front of me, not the breed, not the color, not anything, but that is important to so many people. So it's not wrong. But I'm not going to say that I'm the German Shepherd, I'm the Chow, expert. I'm going to give you the broad strokes on what types of personalities they are, and then we'll research it together. I can help you through that and also help you work with your animal long-term and have a plan. That's what Facebook's for, and giving all these free advice. And that's what this show is. If you go back and look at our over 100 shows, it's giving you free advice to say, how can I support you? And that's how you can hire me, and you can look at all these wonderful, wonderful videos on this channel, not only my own, but a lot of really great free advice, because for me, it's supporting you and your animal.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Another fabulous show. I appreciate you. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. And hopefully next week we'll be welcoming Pet Psychic AMINAH's network on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. We'll be streaming to those destinations also. So that's really exciting. We're going to close out actually with something that's really kind of cute for the show, a new sponsorship from Diane Floyd-Bame. And we'll take a look at it, and then we'll see you again next week. Thank you, everybody.
Absolutely.
Bye. you.